Hello! Today we are making V-Day pizza. Alright. Happy Valentine's Day. Or for some of y'all, happy another day. Today we are going to be making pizza for two or for one. However you want to watch this video, however you want to make your pizza, just eat it. Eat it by yourself, eat it with someone you love, eat it with your roommate, eat it with your cat next to you, or in our case, eat it with a bunny next to you. So today, I'm going to be making two types of pizzas perfect for Valentine's Day. And again, I like to keep things simple and easy because I'd rather Netflix and chill. Hey. So for today's pizza, we're going to take a shortcut and we're using pre-made pizza dough from Your Local Trader Joe's. I have just the plain version here. I think they have an herb crust as well, but I prefer the plain. I think the texture of the plain is perfect. So per the packet instructions, we're going to open it up and we're simply going to remove the dough from the bag in one piece as best as we can. Now, when you're working with this dough, this pre-made stuff, you don't want to overwork it because it gets really tough. So what I like to do is just take it out of the bag, kind of pull it down so it creates like a nice little ball. Just plop it down and let it just rest and sit on the counter for, what does Mr. Trader Joe's say? 30 minutes on the counter, undisturbed. While we're waiting for our dough to rest, we're going to work on some of the other ingredients for our pizza. Now for today's pizza, we're actually gonna make two different types of pizza. Kind of like a his and hers and hers, his and his, they and thems, whoever is eating this pizza. I'm gonna make one version with a goat cheese mushroom topping and a second regular basil and mozzarella. So in here, I have different types of mushroom. This one came with cremini, shiitake, and oyster mushrooms. And they're already sliced up, so it makes it a little bit simpler. We're gonna go ahead and come over and just rinse it off. Now, some people say to not rinse off mushrooms because they get kind of rubbery, but in my case, I find it's not too bad. If you're gonna cook it right away, it should be fine. Just getting some of the dirt off. With our mushrooms, we're going to saute it just to cook it before we actually put it on the pizza before we put it in the oven. So let's grab our pan. Okay, with our saute pan here, we're gonna go ahead and turn on the fire. Get a nice medium-high heat going on that. While it's warming up, grab some extra virgin olive oil, drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. I like to do enough circles to just coat the pan. Now you know your pan is getting hot when you start moving around your oil and you can see it kind of swirling pretty easily. That means your pan's getting nice and hot. Okay, our pan is nice and hot. We're gonna go ahead and toss in our mushrooms. You wanna hear that sizzle? That's a good sound to hear. I'm gonna season it simply. A little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, and some oregano, dried oregano. Just a couple shakes. Now, because me and my husband like a little bit of heat, I'm putting a little bit of chili flakes. Go ahead and just toss that around. Now, what's nice about having three different mushrooms is not only you get three different tastes of mushroom, but you also get three different textures of mushroom because each one has their own unique quality to it. That way it makes the pizza a little more exciting. Of course, if you want to just use your favorite mushroom, you totally can. If mushroom's not your speed, just do the goat cheese or just do regular mozzarella cheese. You can put anything on it and still probably gonna be good. Except pineapple. I'm not a pineapple person. I'm team no pineapple. Sorry about it. We're gonna allow our mushrooms to cook for just a few minutes, stirring occasionally so make sure it doesn't burn. We'll keep going until they're nice and soft. So we can come in here and see that our mushrooms got some color on them. They're nice and soft. You wanna pull them off before they start getting burned. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this off. Let's go ahead and transfer our mushrooms into a bowl. Now that our mushrooms are done, we're gonna keep it in this bowl, allow it to cool down while we work on our other ingredients. while our dough is resting, and also now our mushrooms are cooling off, let's go ahead and cut up some cheese. Who cut the cheese? So as I said earlier, we're gonna do two different types of pizzas. We're gonna do one goat cheese mushroom and one basil and mozzarella. Now first, we'll take our mozzarella, and I went ahead and got these smaller mozzarella balls that come in this little case. I'm gonna go ahead and just open it up. And I like to keep these type of mozzarella balls in the liquid so it stays longer in the fridge. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pick out a few that I know we're going to use. And look how cute these little balls are. And with our little mozzarella balls, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut them in half. Now you can use these little balls, you can use a larger mozzarella and cut it up. You can use sliced mozzarella, but whatever mozzarella you use, try to get them fresh and not like that pre-grated stuff, just because it kind of melts a little better. And especially if you're using this kind of pizza where it's gonna be simple ingredients, where it's not that many things on there, you want each ingredient to be top-notch. Now, the second cheese we're gonna be using is goat cheese. Now, if you don't like goat cheese, stick with mozzarella. If you have another type you like feta, maybe even ricotta. Ricotta is really good. Whatever you like, go with that. So we're gonna go ahead and just open up this goat cheese here. Slide it on out onto our cutting board. Sneak a little taste. Creamy. And because it's so soft, you want to be careful with it, especially with your knife. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of crumble a little bit into a bowl here. You can get the goat cheese that is already crumbled. It has a little bit of a stiffer consistency, but I really just like this creamy stuff. Our final ingredient that we're gonna prep is our basil. So I have here just a fresh basil plant. Trader Joe's sells these fresh basil plants. They're amazing. They last such a long time and they taste so good. If you haven't had fresh, like planted basil, you gotta try it. I don't have a green thumb, so I can't really plant my own. So if someone else wants to do it for me, hey, thanks. So I went ahead and just pulled off a few leaves, about 6 leaves or so. It's kind of a lot for the size of the pizza we're gonna do, but I love basil, I love herbs, so I'm gonna load it on. Give it a quick little rinse. We have all of our ingredients for our pizzas ready. Let's go ahead and build this. So we have our oven preheating at 475 degrees. Sounds kind of hot, but it is hot. We want that pizza to cook quick and get a nice brown bottom. Let's set up our pizza. So we have this very large baking sheet here. If you have an actual like pizza thing that goes into the oven, tight. I have this large baking sheet and that's what we're gonna work with. So first, just so it makes our pizza easier to come off, we put a bit of olive oil on the bottom. Using our little fingers here, we're gonna go ahead and just smear it around. Okay, now let's work with our dough. Carefully now, we don't wanna overwork our dough again. We're gonna just take it off. Now, without trying to overwork it, I'm gonna go ahead and just using gravity, pull it and expand it, rotating as I'm going to try to keep a uniform shape and to get the thickness even on all the sides. Okay, I am getting to the point where it is starting to get harder. I'm gonna go ahead and plop it onto our sheet. And using the sheet as assistance, I'm gonna go ahead and just continue to spread this out. For me, I like a thinner pizza, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull it and stretch it to try to get it nice and thin. Cool, I like to just feel around to make sure that it's pretty uniform and even on all the sides. If not, go ahead and use my fingers and press it out, press it out. I think that's the best we're gonna do for today. And don't come at me, I know it's not perfect. I know her technique is weird. It is. I'm also not a professional. I just like to eat. We're gonna have a little bit of fun with this. As I said earlier, we're making 2 different kinds of pizzas. So I'm gonna go ahead and make 2 hearts. Go ahead and make a little top of the heart there. Guys, I think we did it. Also, that was a lot of work. If you want to make hearts like me, cool. If you want to keep it the way it was, the shape that it was, even better. Also, be very careful when you're using a knife on your baking sheet. You don't want to scratch it. Okay, I'm gonna try and make my hearts a little bit uniform and pretty. So we have 2 hearts. They look pretty good. With the scraps of the rest, you can still use it, bake it off, make it into little garlic knots, or just plain extra pizza dough and dip it in marinara sauce, whatever you want to do with it. Now the fun part. Let's dress these up. For the basil and mozzarella pizza, I'm gonna go ahead and just use plain pasta sauce. We're using good old Trader Joe's brand. If you want to use canned tomatoes, if you want to use marinara, whatever you got works. Go ahead, plop a couple spoonfuls. Start spreading that sauce. Now, when it comes to pizza sauce, you don't need a lot because you don't want it to be too wet when it goes into the oven. Just enough to get the top coated. Now, for our second pizza, we're gonna use pesto. And I like to use this brand's pesto, not sponsored, but you could be. If you wanna use a different kind of pesto, if you wanna use an Alfredo sauce, or just use the marinara again, that works too. Go ahead and just take a nice spoonful, maybe an extra nice spoonful and a half. Spread that. There's all these herbs and garlic and oil already in the mix, so it does all the work for you. And that's what Valentine's Day should be, y'all. You shouldn't have to slave over a hot stove. If you're gonna cook at home especially, do something easy, simple. It's still gonna be meaningful and you're still gonna have a romantic night, you know? Make it easy on yourself. Okay, we're gonna season up our pizza. Just a little bit of seasoning is all you need. Tiny bit of salt, a little bit of freshly ground black pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, tiny bit of oregano. Now we are going to pop on the mushrooms for our mushroom goat cheese pizza. And that is gonna go right onto our pesto. So our mushrooms are nice and cooled, so easy to use on our hands. Let's pile it on. And I love mushrooms, so I'm going to use all of this. So our pizzas are ready to go in. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this guy into our oven that's been preheated at 475. It's gonna go in for just about 8 to 10 minutes or until we get a nice crusty bottom. I think it's ready to check on our pizza. Nice little golden, that's what we like. Yes, honey. So ovens may vary. The instructions said 8 to 10 minutes. I went ahead and put it for closer to like 13, just because I like a more brown bottom. Let's put the rest of our toppings on. We're gonna first go in with our cheeses. For our basil mozzarella, it gets the mozzarella. I've tried putting the mozzarella on before and putting it into the oven. It still works. However, I just like when the cheese kind of stays intact, especially fresh mozzarella. I love the taste and flavor of it, so I really want to be able to taste that mozzarella. The pizza is so hot, it's gonna go ahead and warm up that mozzarella just a tad. To finish off the basil mozzarella, we need the basil. So with the lovely pieces that we got from our fresh potted plants, I'm gonna go ahead and just place them throughout our pizza. Try not to hide the mozzarella on there. If you want to, you can tear it up and just kind of place it all about, but I also just like it in its whole form. Now the goat cheese and mushroom needs our goat cheese. We're gonna go ahead, carefully crumble that all over. It's nice and creamy. The heat of the pizza is gonna go ahead and warm that goat cheese a little bit as well, making it even more creamy and decadent. And here we have our Valentine's Day pizzas. Thanks for joining us. Now get out of my kitchen.